Hi, it's Sophie for Culture Compass, and I'm here in London with Lights. How are you doing?
I'm good. She just presented me her claw necklace. It's amazing.
We have to do that though, don't we?
And she did it. Do you think that's a dragon claw or like a hawk?
I always thought hawk, but I like the dragon idea. Let's go for that.
Looks a little dragony, yeah. Yeah.
So a nice bunch of snacks you got going on
Help
there.
yourself. I've been snacking on it all day. I've had several cookies.
Good, you're my kind of woman already.
Yeah, you gotta indulge, man. You gotta indulge.
I saw you indulging in Nando's actually.
Yes.
Already?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Nando's here is the best because we have it in Canada. It's just not as good.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
It's better here. It's just better here. The chicken's better.
Is it? Have you got a black card yet?
No. Oh, no. I have one. I haven't activated it yet. Why do they make you activate it? I just want to
make it difficult.
I know. I want to make you work for your chicken Nando's.
No, I was watching an interview earlier and you said that it's very important to keep that muscle going, you know, the writing muscle. Are you writing while you're in London? Is anything happening on that score? Or?
Well, I don't have any sessions when I'm here, but I'm working on stuff when I go back to the hotel. And I always have a lyric page set up in my memos on my phone and just constantly pouring lyrics into it. And so there's definitely moments that I've been here that have inspired a lot of different lyrical ideas that have gone into it. So you have to pull from wherever you go. That's the best way to keep the muscle up. Just constantly have it in the back of your mind. There's like a little burner. Did you ever watch that movie? It's the new one. It's called Inside Out.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
And so for like all the core emotions that you have, there's an island. And so I have this like songwriting island that I'm always kind of hanging out on.
Sunbathing on.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Doing cool things on.
Good.
Yeah.
And now, you saw The Martian recently, didn't you?
Just saw that last night.
Yeah. How did that affect you? Did that give you loads of ideas?
Did you watch it?
I've seen it, yeah.
It's so good.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, that was actually one example of a time I was off that songwriting island and just watching it.
Yeah.
Because it was so good. And Matt Damon was amazing.
You got a bit emotional, didn't you?
A little emotional. Yeah. There was times. Did you tear up? You're a little sweaty in the eye.
Doesn't take much these days.
I know. Same with me. I'm getting more emotional as I get older.
It is an age thing, isn't it? I get a wobbly chin like really easily.
I know,
now.
and I'm always trying to hide it, but it, and so don't watch Inside Out if you don't want to cry then.
Okay, I'll stay well clear. Now, you said when you had your drought, you kind of immersed yourself in like art and poetry and that sort of thing. Even now, when you're not in a drought, do you still make sure that you're still doing all that stuff, getting creative and crafty? And
I try to. I think in that sort of time of uninspiration, there wasn't much going on, and that was part of it. I wasn't touring because I'd been touring hard on the last record for 2 years, and then you take a break. It's like time to put an album out, but I don't have an album, and that's when the pressure starts to add up. So there was actually like a couple months of time that I was just sitting at home writing, and I had time to do art and all those kind of things. But you know, it is really important to keep that muscle up, and if you can find ways to make it infiltrate your life without having to set aside specific time for it, that's the best case scenario. So, you know, I make a point of trying to draw pictures for my daughter or to keep my drawing muscle up. So I always draw, you know, powerful women pictures for her all around whenever we're drawing, or find ways to read lyrics in ways that I hadn't, and understand different facets of art that you don't typically absorb on a daily basis, so that you're always just kind of opening your mind to all the potential ways that you can use art to make some of your music better.
They always say that creative people are quite messy people. Did you find during that period in particular you just got a bit messy, like there was stuff everywhere? Or
it's such a funny concept, because for me, hands down, when I'm a mess, I can't be creative.
Right.
And if I clean up my house and do the dishes and have everything in order, that's when I feel like I can really sit down and work on music. So it's like, for some reason, when all of your ducks are in a row and everything's in order, that's when you feel like you can really sit down and let yourself spend time on music. I don't know why that is, but that's just how I work, I guess.
I guess it's less clutter of useless stuff. It's just the stuff you need, you can access or something.
You really have to focus when you're writing. I think there's maybe some artists out there that just barf art and it works. And like I am not one of those people. I have to be very deliberate about sitting down and really focusing on what I'm saying in the song. Because every time you write a song, you have to confront something that you're dealing with emotionally and resolve it.
Yeah.
So you're constantly performing therapy in your own life in order to write music.
draining.
It's pretty intense. Yeah. And you really have to get the words out right and make it so that it makes sense and it's accessible and understandable, but still unique and interesting and descriptive of what you're experiencing. So yeah, I just can't barf that out. No. Some people can, though. It's amazing.
Jealous.
Yeah, I know.
No, you are one of those artists that your words actually mean something. They're not just because they sound good or they flow right. They actually mean something.
Yes. Thank you for noticing. I do put a lot of intention on that, and and there's a lot of writers that go by the concept of as long as it sounds good and flows well, it doesn't really matter what you say, and that's fair. I mean, I think that works for a lot of songs. People just, you know, a lot of people don't really listen to lyrics. I do though, and I really zero in on lyrics and what they mean and the intention behind them, and that's always been an important thing for me, so I really appreciate that you noticed that. That's good.
When you approached it then, did you know kind of what themes or messages you wanted to get out there with the record, or did you just go, let's see just what pours out of me today or the next day? And
it's a bit of both. I think you have to be really intentional about where you're going with it, but in the same sense, you do have to let yourself go where your heart takes you, I suppose, as cheesy as that sounds. But I think that the theme of Little Machines in itself was the understanding of just being happy in existence and enjoying the moment. There's a song called Running with the Boys that's about youth and hearken to those days when I was younger, that you felt like you owned the town and you just ran around and you had big dreams, and I wanted to get back to that a little bit, which you lose over the course of life. And that's sad, you know. We forget to enjoy because we're so busy looking forward. And I'm trying to find the balance every day in those two worlds. There's another one called Slow Down, which is about the escaping of time. And there's another one called Speeding. And it's just about going really fast in your car and listening to music. And while that's not a very deep thought, it's a really important thought, because enjoying the moment is the best and most important thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, rather than thinking we've got to capture the moment and put it on Instagram, perhaps.
Well, there's that too. I mean, and there's certain, you know, I think a lot of people give the Instagram phenomenon a hard time, but I think that's in a sense a way of enjoying a moment too. I mean, if you are really enjoying where you're at in that moment, you want to remember it, and so with the same perspective in mind, I'm not offended when people film my shows and take photos. In fact, it makes me happy to see 1,000 phones in the audience, because that means people want to remember that moment and they want to capture it. And although they may not be very immersed, that's their form of enjoying it now. Just reliving it
and sharing that joy with the people they know.
And I've learned to look forward to that, as opposed to be like, put your phones away.
It's not like we can do anything about it, really, anyways.
I mean, everything's gonna sound like shit, but people know that.
Now, you also talked about Kanye West in an interview and how you like how free he is with his creative process, how he doesn't have any restrictions. When you approach your record, you've obviously got to think, I need to support my family. I've got to make songs that sell and not too like wacky, but you still want to have that flow. So how do you get the balance?
Well, that's just it. That's the constant balance that you need to discover with every song. So to achieve any kind of success, I think you need to always compromise complete indulgence. If I made a record exactly the way I wanted it, it probably wouldn't do well, because it would just be like a fantasy record or something.
You'd love it, though.
And it would be great. And I would fall asleep to it every night. But I think you always have to find the balance of something that people will understand versus what you think is really interesting and cool. And I'm learning to really not only come to terms with it, but really enjoy the challenge of putting that together, and the outcome of it too. I'm writing pop songs with depth and a little bit of unique production, but with production values that resonate with all the other things that are out there. That's the balance you always have to find, and I'm learning it every day. And with every record, I think I get a little closer to it. But who knows? Maybe in 10 records, I'll get it.
Oh, come on. You're there.
Thank you.
Now, you wrote, I think, about 43 songs.
For Little Machines, I wrote tons. And it wasn't like, okay, the first 20 were bad, and then I got really good at the end. It was just like, right. Holy crap, we have an album here somewhere.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, after discovering that there were 11 really good songs in there, we were we were recording the record.
But how do you kind of whittle them down? Like, do you go in the car and play them, think, this one sounds cool when I'm driving? Or do you ask your friends, or that brutal friend that will tell you that one's pants? Like, how do you do it?
It's a balance of everything. I mean, I know which ones I don't like, for starters, and those aren't coming out. And then you get it down to 15, 20 that are pretty good. There's some that you have vision for that could be better, that this part could be changed. And I know that I can make this work. Whereas ones that are, this isn't going to get better, or this one is amazing. And then I have the team that I work with, and my management, and the people I trust around me are incredible, and their opinion matters so much. So it's always like boiling it down to the ones that they believe in too, and then the label and what they believe in, and then that kind of whittles it down to what the record ends up being.
Do you think you're generally all on the same page, say your management team, or has there ever been a track that you felt passionately about and they've been like,
we've always honestly been on the same page, and I've been really lucky for that. Really, really lucky for that. But also, it's also my team believes in me as an artist, and they trust in my decisions and my songwriting process as well. So if I really believe in something, I'll get to have it on the record. Whether or not it becomes a single is a different thing, because that's really, in terms of a commercial sense, that's what matters, and I trust other people to help decide which ones are going to work in that respect, because I'm not a radio promoter, and I don't know the temperature of that climate all the time. So I trust other people to do the jobs in that area. But if I was really into a song, no one would stop me from putting it out.
Say next album, would you ever look back to those songs and rework them, see if they worked on that, or is that a snapshot and it should be left in the past?
I think it's one of those things I'll walk away from, and I'm honestly, when you kind of close off that resolve with the therapy that you did on that song, you're kind of done with that moment. And if it wasn't a powerful enough one, it just gets lost. And I've written thousands of songs, some of which just don't exist anymore. And that's something that you just have to be okay with as an artist, that some of your work just disappears. And that's okay, because you have to get rid of that stuff to get to the good stuff. And that's the hardest part for some people, I think. They want to hold on to everything they write, and I don't think you can. Because you can't always write something perfect. But yeah, you got to get past it to get to the good stuff, and when you really capture the right one, that can live on. And I enjoy playing these songs so much, because that was the moment that was meant to be captured, and the other ones can fly far away as far as I'm concerned. I'll be writing fresh stuff. But that said, I've gone back through unfinished songs before the moment's resolved, where it's just ideas, and those always trigger new things. You know, when you've let them sit for a year or two, you come back to it and you hear it in a new way, because it's not closed off yet. It's a weird science.
So you've lived with the record for almost a year now. Have your feelings about any of the tracks changed as you've played them live? You've seen the response they've got, or because maybe some have got boring to you? I don't know. What happens?
Well, yeah, definitely the live show affects the way a song feels. Some songs have completely taken on this new shine live. There's the first song on the record's called Portal. It's this kind of cinematic, soundscapey type song. And that one has become this really powerful moment in the set, and has taken on this life that I never imagined for our shows. Whereas a song like Slow Down is killer on the record, but it's been really hard to make that one come across live. I don't know what it is. And it's just, some things work and some things don't in that setting. But I always think about live when I'm writing. So that's always in the back of my mind, and I think maybe I envision that song working better live than it did. But so we don't actually play that one much, but songs like Running with the Boys, Up We Go is just a blast live.
It's so feel good,
and that
though,
one's so
isn't
it just animates everybody in the room, and that's one of my favorites to play.
I can't believe that's your first UK full release, because it feels like you're really immersed in the UK. Like, everyone has known about you for a while. Do you feel like you've got that fan base already?
I've been touring here a while. I mean, we started touring here back in 2008. No, 9. I think we came here for Give It a Name tour in 2009. I think early 2009. I think I was here for my birthday that year too, and so we've been coming back ever since. But I've never been mainstream by any means here. All the fans that I have here are incredible and dedicated, but they've all found me on their own. It wasn't because someone told them to listen to me, and that is what makes it a powerful fan base here. But it's small. It's really small, and this is really the first time we're working to put the record in front of people so that people here find it. because regardless of having the internet and having access to all music at all times, people don't know what to look for if they don't know about it.
Yeah.
And it does take a lot of energy and a lot of resources to put your music in front of people. So yeah, that's what this trip is about, just coming here and showing people Little Machine. So it's like a rebirth of the record, and it's really exciting. A year after it came out, it feels like it's fresh, and that's a nice feeling.
It's got a nice boost again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Breathes new life into it.
Nice. Now, you're a fan of Bjork, I believe, aren't you? Now, she is just like multi-sensory. She's all about visuals and art. She's an artist. Do you want to kind of enhance the kind of creative thing that you do, not just the music, you know, visuals and whatever, you know?
Oh, absolutely. That's like a dream of mine, to have some kind of... The visual and the music go so well together, and if you have enough time and resources ahead of a release, that would be the ideal scenario. And I have big dreams, especially for the next release, in terms of that kind of thing. But it's, you know, if you have a big dream for something that costs money, that isn't necessarily going to make money, you can't make it happen. That's just the sad reality of our world. So you have to find a way to make it make sense, or just do it all yourself. So I'm learning
DIY version.
Yeah.
Use your crafting skills.
Exactly. Work on that. So yeah, that's more to come on that for sure.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Right, I think I've got to wrap it up soon, but I'm going to leave it on a bit of a deeper question, because I was watching all your interviews before I came to meet you, and they all ask you a question about being a woman in music.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that actually journalists keep bringing that up is actually doing like the negative effect, because we keep reminding people that women are separate? Would you rather that it wasn't even a thing that people brought up?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, in reality, I haven't experienced too many moments in my career that I felt discriminated against as a woman. But it is obvious there's more men than women, and especially now, being a mother, I've actually been disallowed to bring my child into the venue at times. And those are the times that it frustrates me, because, you know, if you want to be a woman in industry, you have to forget the idea of having a family, and that's not fair. And I think that's how it is for a lot of careers. It's like, if you want to be successful, you have to put away your concept of family, whereas with men, it's not the same way. So that's the only thing about it that really bothers me, where I feel like it's unfair. So it's always finding the balance in your own life with that. And you know, my husband's right now back in our country taking care of my baby, and you have to learn how to role reverse. And that's just something that is a mind, it's deeply ingrained in our minds of what men are supposed to do and what women are supposed to do. And that is the thing that needs to change. And I see it in kids' TV shows now too, where the dad goes to work and the mom, I mean, it's been that way forever. That's just ingrained in our culture. And I think that's the element that constantly bringing this up is going to start to change, is the idea that the woman can go to work, the man can stay behind, and it's okay to switch it up. It doesn't have to be polar opposites. You can switch, and you can evolve and do the things that life leads you to. So in a sense, it is important that people are bringing it up.
Okay. Well, we'll keep doing it then.
Yeah, it is important. Keep it up, because people need to change the deep-seated,
the ingrained stuff
about it. Yeah.
So on a final note, you're coming back next year, hopefully to do some dates. Okay.
Early next year, I'd love to be back here touring and doing shows.
Okay, well, hopefully see you then, actually see you perform. That'd be lovely.
Do it. Come out to a show.
I'll be there.
And I'll be able to bring my kid in.
And bring some more of those cookies as well.
They're coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.